Welcome everyone, my name's Kepka and I'm gonna be your internet historian today. We're gonna be looking at Betrayal League patch 3.5.0 for Path of Exile. This league in particular was a turning point for Path of Exile. It was a tremendous success in terms of record numbers of players online. It was tremendous success in terms of updating many different systems inside Path of Exile, and it generally was one of the probably most historically powerful times for Path of Exile. And let's talk about why. Let's talk about legacy of that league first, and after let's talk about how the league mechanic and league itself was going on. Now, if we're talking about legacy of Betrayal, there are so many things that were introduced in that patch. There were so many things that Betrayal touched, and during Betrayal we've get things. So I'm gonna start from league mechanic itself and how do we have it now, and how it was changing throughout the years. So Betrayal league mechanic is Immortal Syndicate. Immortal Syndicate is basically this adventure quest map where you do have all the different suspects for who's the Immortal Syndicate master, and you're trying to investigate, and you're basically a Sherlock Holmes there. You're on your quest to finding out that Katarina is indeed the Immortal Syndicate master that resurrects everyone and does all this bad stuff that you need to intervene, and you need to just straight up say to them, stop, we're gonna completely destroy your Immortal Syndicate and you, because you're doing bad stuff. This is it when it comes to the league mechanic itself. There are many different intricate mechanics inside of it, where you can basically you can make those syndicate members betray. You can make them cooperate with yourself. You can kill them, execute them, and do different stuff. You do have different rewards that are that you're gonna get whenever you're storming their safe houses, and this is the main objective of Syndicate. Then you're pushing your knowledge towards the Syndicate's master. Then you're fighting Katarina. You have interesting uniques and many different rewards from her and from the Syndicate masters that were currently Syndicate bosses that were currently in places in different safe houses. So basically it's just one big investigation process with different reward thresholds for you to get in. And the mechanic itself is still pretty utilized. There are many different, because of the amount of different unique rewards that you're getting from those encounters. You can level up your gems, you can get white sockets on your maps, you can get scarabs for different league mechanics, you can get some unique items, some map items, many different stuff. Just in general currency, you can craft items with different syndicate members, crafting benches. Because of the reward table is so diverse, of course, the league mechanic itself, and there are many unique stuff to it, the league mechanic itself will be more than prevalent in current days, even though it may not be the focus of many people, because just regular mapping is more than generous nowadays. But it's still, you can specialize in it and you can still reap the rewards out of it. Now when it comes to the boss Katarina, at the time of Betrayal release, Katarina became a kind of a pinnacle boss as well. On a hardest difficulty, she was pretty tough to kill, and for some leagues she was on par with Uber Elder, and yeah, it was quite a challenge to kill her, and it was definitely a very welcomed change, very welcomed addition to the Path of Exile's roster of kind of pinnacle bosses, on par with Uber Elder, Shaper, at a little bit lesser degree there, and Katarina. It was all quite interesting, and the gameplay process itself is always it's always it is a boss killing type of a league. It's not a fast clearing like incursion. Or any encounter with syndicate is gonna be multiple bosses spawning on you. They're just not as powerful as they could have been, so they are not like bosses, but they are still, it's a big powerful enemy. More like that. The league mechanic is not being abandoned by any means. Veiling, recovering all the veiled mods is still a thing that you need to do every single league. And in general, the league evolved into and has its place still, and probably will do that just fine. Now that is for mechanic itself. Let's talk about the rework of master missions and rework of masters. During Betrayal League, after the Bestiary, Incursion, and Delve were introduced into the game, Grinder Gear Games had an idea how to reintroduce them all into the game and how to replace their old master mission system completely, because the old master mission that you had to regrind reputation with all the different masters in maps in order to get some crafting possibilities from them. It was a very janky system. It was an outdated one. You had to grind them all over again every single league. There was a loading screen to all the missions of every single one of them. The missions themselves were quite boring, and they were objective, more of like objective oriented rather than just kill everything oriented. They were just janky and all over the place, and nobody really liked them. And especially after doing them for like 4 or 5 years, people weren't really. They didn't really wanted to do them. That's why they've reworked them. They've introduced new masters, them being Einhar, Alva, Zana as being master cartographer, June, and Nico. And they were the big expansion-esque league masters of the previous year that Betrayal do and pushed with the whole master rework. All the recipes that we are getting in maps and during campaign were introduced in that league. All the system, all the master craft rework, all the crafting bench rework was introduced in Betrayal, which was massive and is still one of the best additions to the game. And it is not controversial at all. It's probably one of the core parts of the game that was reworked so well that it didn't need a touch in 5 years, and it's still a superior system of how to craft your gear in ARPGs in general. Veiled modifiers and how you were acquiring them, though, were updated and evolved throughout the year or two after the Betrayal release, because whenever it was the Betrayal itself, you had to level your veiled modifiers in order to get the best tier of them. Now you don't need to do that. You just need to find one time every single craft. And it was just the whole process was way worse. And now you don't really need to do it that much. It way easier, it way faster. There are way more veiled items. They differ way better. In general, the system is improved in many different ways. So it is in a perfect state currently, just as the Immortal Syndicate as well. I would doubt that someone doesn't like how it works, or have some big criticism of it, as you may have of some other systems in the game. And yes, it reintroduced Einhar with automating net system delivery by Einhar himself, so that you don't really need any nets. And this was one of the improvements that made Bestiary a good league mechanic from just horrible net maintaining mechanic that everybody hated. And Bestiary since was in a pretty good spot as well. Delve it reintroduced how you were getting sulfite, of course, because it wasn't the league that was in every single location now, and Nico became this master with these a couple sulfites for every map mechanic. And in general, yes, Betrayal was a very, very big win for grinding gear games in all possible ways. For SSF, it meant very many different things, especially with the new crafting benches in mechanic itself. It was quite interesting to play with them. Maybe not so much at Trade League. And enriched breachstones were the thing that were created kind of with Betrayal, with you being able to enrich your breachstones with the Eat That Fled mechanic. So there are many different consequences to many systems for the Betrayal. If you want to understand how to maximize the mechanic itself and you're not using any build guide and any guides for that system, it's still gonna be pretty complicated for you to know, do you want more friendships and enemies between those syndicate members or less? Whom do you want to wear? And all the stuff like that. And Katarina has still pretty good loot for you to have in SSF and out of that. So in general, that league was a very, very powerful one. It broke the records of player numbers, and it was something like probably. It was a true 4.0 experience if you were to have to have the knowledge about how ExileCon will go and that it will be two separate games. Probably Betrayal was the 4.0 then for the original game, because we will never have Path of Exile 2 merging both games, so you can probably call that with all the amount of reworks that were present at that league. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you're interested in content like this, then definitely subscribe and have a good day. Bye.